Welcome everyone to another episode in the series Business Planning for Your Community Resource Centre, brought to you by the Department of Regional Development and Westlink TV. Today we're going to be looking at clarifying project prioritisation, connecting your projects to DRD required outcomes, and the project benefits and how to measure them. And today, as always, I'm going to be very ably assisted by, from the Department of Regional Development, Ros Worth. Hi Ros.
Thank you, John. Glad to be here as always.
Yep, good to see you again. And from Andrew Huffer and Associates, the man himself, Andrew Huffer.
I'm here, all of me, all one of me.
It's good to see you, Andrew.
Thanks, John.
So this is episode 6 out of the 10 episode series on business planning for your CRC. And by now you should have completed the first 3 pages of your business plan template, covering your vision and mission, your business overview, the situational analysis for your CRC and your local community, and also documented your achievements so far. So don't forget, as you go along, copy the outcomes and the work that you're doing in your workbook into your business planning template. And now I'm going to ask Andrew to do a quick recap on episode 5 and lead us into the new content for episode 6. Andrew.
Thanks, John. So everyone, if you can turn to page 14 of your workbook now, and you remember from the last episode that John took us through the process of developing a mind map for developing ideas for CRC projects. And then we went through a brainstorming process. So we identified a heap of ideas around what you could do with projects. Then we used the impact versus capacity grid to prioritise them. And through that, you should have been able to complete pages 5 to 6 of your business plan to identify what are your high priority projects. This week, we want to revisit that a tad, just to make sure that we're focusing on projects. Because last week, the example, we really went through activities. This week, I think it's good just to go through that higher level to identify what are the projects. So we're going to use the mind mapping example from last episode, episode 5, that John developed, and we're going to take that through to prioritise at the project level. So if you remember from the mind map, we had a heap of different ideas up that John developed that could be used for projects for your CRC. And we took one here. It could be things like developing governance skills, getting a new coffee machine, working on your social media side, or doing a website upgrade. You can see there's a heap of ideas that often come up in CRC plans. So if we go back and use the impact versus capacity grid, we'll put those into place to see which ones are the highest priority projects for the CRC. So in the first case, we're going to look at which are the high impact and the high capacity ones. And these are the ones that ideally you should focus on in the short term, because it means by having high impact, they'll make the biggest difference to your CRC. And high capacity means you've really got the skills and abilities to make them happen. So the ones we put in there were things like the website upgrade, having community events, and getting new financial software. Using the prioritisation process, we also looked at some of the other projects there. And looking here, we looked at ones like social media and governance skills are probably ones that are still going to have a high impact for your community resource centre, but they're the sort of things that you're probably going to need some new skills brought in and perhaps some training to help you get to that level. So we put those again in the high impact ones, but it may be something that could be a longer term project rather than the other ones we looked at before. Moving on, a couple of the other projects we've put into what we call the high capacity. They're still easy to do, but the impact probably not as strong. Things like having a coffee machine in at the CRC, having a healthy eating program, or getting new signage. They're sort of things that will bring people in and bring them back, but they're not probably the big turning point type projects for your CRC.
I think the coffee machine one actually is a top priority.
Well, we've all got our biases, I suppose. And the final ones we put in what we call the low impact, low capacity ones are things like the office furniture. They're not going to make a massive difference at the end of the day, but they're probably worth having on the horizon should the opportunity come up. So we really just wanted to use this to get your minds clearly focused that it's best to use this process for looking at the project level. And just to bring it all back, if you can see in this final slide here, we've really put the big red outline around the high impact, high capacity projects. And these are the ones that we'll go through now and link to the DRD outcomes. And the reason we're going to link them to the DRD outcomes, it's important to make sure that you can clearly put a case forward to your funder, being DRD, one of your funders, that these projects match their outcomes, the things that they want to deliver on. So Ros and I are going to have a chat about those now, and we might even include John, we might exclude John, I don't know. Depends what you've got to offer, I suppose. But
Thank you.
anytime.
Feel free to join in, John.
Yeah, feel free to
Yeah.
join in. And we'll talk about the importance of linking your projects to DRD outcomes. And we'll start with that by actually just giving a bit of a reminder about what those outcomes are and what they mean. Then John will take you through more detail about the linkage part of it. So just to remind you, the DRD outcomes are, drum roll, to build the capacity of the local community. And I'll go through these first and we'll come back and revisit them. To deliver services and information, to develop partnerships, to increase the profile of the CRC in the network, and to develop and maintain high standards of management and governance. So I'm just going to flick over to you, Ros, and we'll talk about that very first one, which is about building the capacity of the local community. So if you can just, I guess, help me understand what that actually means if I was at a CRC. What does that mean for a CRC?
Well, it's about, I guess, bringing some sort of equality to regional WA into what they can access in the metro area. So it's about developing skills, services, opportunities, be that learning opportunities or just local opportunities, and just increasing what's available to strengthen, promote, resource their local community.
That makes sense to me. And when you're talking about delivering services and information, what are you looking for there from CRCs?
In tailoring that to their local community so that it's real and meaningful and can progress to further levels of advancement.
I'm seeing a lot of this in CRCs that we've been talking to, is delivering things on a partnership approach. What are some of the things you've seen?
I guess working with banks,
Yep.
delivering banking services as an agency, being faced for Centrelink, ATO, licensing, all those kind of government services, health provider agencies, any of those kind of access.
And working with businesses as well.
For sure.
There's lots of cases where CRCs have joint ventured with businesses
Yep.
to provide services, and it's been a win-win kind of arrangement. So, yeah, that's a good way to go too.
Absolutely. And for me, the things I've seen out with a lot of CRCs is when they have that approach of greater partnering, they're going to get more people in because it becomes almost like a local hub type of area.
And I guess it's about being familiar with the different services that they may refer people to. You know, be fairly familiar with the website, where to go, how to navigate, and ensuring that the referral contact lists are up to date, and agencies for ongoing support.
Good one. And when you mentioned the website, this is another outcome that DRD is looking for, is to increase the profile of the CRC and the network. What does that mean in practical terms from your view?
Just to ensure that opportunities to promote what the CRC does to strengthen and support the community is just really active. That might be at a local level through your newsletters, community events, through your website, perhaps include forward through to regional development for inclusion in the CRC network news, and I guess having communications with the network as a whole through the portal and sort of online thread conversations.
Yeah, the CRC can really become the go-to place for everything in the local community.
Yep, for sure. And I think the opportunity, I'll say it is as it is. I reckon a lot of CRCs are missing it, is the opportunity to connect and learn from other CRCs. I reckon that's a big gap that you guys can really tap into. I'll get down off my my little
Soapbox.
Thank you, John. And moving on, the other one there is about developing and maintaining high standards of management and governance. I reckon that's pretty important as a taxpayer. I want to see that happen.
Most definitely. So I guess it's about committees becoming familiar with their roles and responsibilities. Also, all the personnel familiar with their constitution and in the mechanics and mechanisms within that, and just accessing and participating in workshops that are available for the CRC network, and MSO, the Management Support Online System, that's a 24/7 access available program that DRD supports for CRCs. So that's they can sort of assess their own skill level and access different learning opportunities through that at different components, depending on what roles they may play within the CRC. And there's always the opportunity to contact their regional coordinator for a coaching arrangement with a peer CRC, sort of linking in with what you mentioned earlier there, Andrew, about learning from others within the network.
Yeah, and that regional coordinator role is a real go-to role, isn't it? You've got some people there who really know their stuff and keen to get out there and find out what's going on and give people a hand. I've never seen them hiding their offices too much. I see you release them into the wild. Some of them I wouldn't, but anyway.
That may explain some of their behaviour.
In serious terms, I've seen them a lot out there doing a really good job, and if you need answers, I reckon they're the first place to go to. John, let's take this a bit further and actually develop some linkages from our projects to the DRD outcomes.
Sure, Andrew. Yep, thank you. So now that we know what the DRD outcomes are, let's look at how you can link and prioritise your projects in relation to the outcomes. So for this exercise, we're going to go back to using the 3 key projects, the high impact, high capacity projects that we came up with in the previous exercise on the prioritisation grid. So we're going to use website upgrade, financial software, and community events. So if you turn to pages 15 and 16 of your workbook, you will see this grid there where you can write in the projects next to the DRD outcomes. So in this example we've got here, we're looking at the required outcome of build the capacity of the local community, and the 3 key projects that we identified: website upgrade. And when we think about that, and this is only in our example of course, you will do this individually for your own projects, but in our example we decided that the website upgrade would be about medium level contributor to that outcome. Financial software, probably a low level one. It's good to have it. I help certainly with the governance issues, but not a big contributor to this particular outcome. So we rate that one low. And the community events, well, yep, that's going to be a real big builder of the capacity of the local community. So we rate that one high. So it's a question of going through all of your projects in priority order and putting them against each of the DRD outcomes and seeing how they stack up. The next thing to do is to look at each of the DRD outcomes and then pick out which are the projects which are high contributors to those outcomes. So in this case we've got build capacity of local community, community events, we pick that as a high. Deliver services and information, again community events, and upgrading the website as a high contributor. Develop partnerships and negotiate business opportunities. Well, upgrading the website there would definitely be a big one for that. And then increase the profile of the CRC. Again, community events is always a great way to raise the profile, and of course a good website, a good effective website will be a big contributor to that. And then high standards of management and governance, but this is where the financial software element comes in. So go through and rate each of the DRD outcomes and look at which projects are high contributors. The high contributors are the ones, Ros, which are most likely to attract funding from DRD, is that right?
Well, they certainly stabilise your position and hopefully strengthen it with other funding providers.
Yeah, so it's very important to be able to go through and identify those, and in the next episode we'll be looking in a little more detail at that. So Andrew's now going to talk about the benefits and some of the measures from the projects.
Good one. And you've heard me, I think the technical term is bang on about this before, and I think, John, I've probably heard you bang on about it quite a bit.
Thank you.
And the reason we do bang on, to use that technical term, is because it's just so vitally important to be able to show that you're actually delivering something and it's providing a benefit, in this case, both to your clientele, but also to your funder. So we've gone through an example here, and Ros will discuss this a bit more. Here we say for the website upgrade, the type of benefits we could see with that happening from the actual website is you could see maybe it's a bit easier to get around, it looks better, we could have some more functions added to it like e-commerce, and it could be easy for most people to click around and find their way around without too much technical requirement there for them, or technical training. It's sort of fairly intuitive, and that's a good website. The thing I reckon we often miss, is actually putting what's a measurable result next to that. And so if we go back to the slide here, we can see some of the measurable results we'll put there. So if you have improved the visual appearance and user experience of your website, you're hopefully going to see more people coming to it. The real measurable part there will be that more people coming in the door, or using the services you offer online. So that to me is where you're really getting to that measurable part, is getting people A, to come to your site, then B, take action from it. Because having people come to your site is only sort of a halfway house, I reckon.
They've got to do something.
Yeah.
And use your services as a result of coming to the site, so yeah.
And getting a bit more techno, John, you're the website man. If you get a lot of people coming to your website, but you're not getting them come through the door, what does that say to you?
It means you probably haven't got a call for action on the website, or you're not hitting people's hot buttons. You're not giving them the kind of services and things that they're needing.
Yeah.
But you've got to ask them to do something.
And it goes back to Andrew's earlier comment in one of the episodes about what's in it for the client. With them, it's how it may not be the service that you promote, but it's how you promote that service.
For sure.
Yeah.
And get people to sign up for a newsletter. A regular newsletter, so you're building a database of people you can market the CRC to.
Yep. Newsletters are fantastic. A one-pager once a month. It's enough to keep people in touch with what you're doing. Great idea. The other two ones we had there were things like adding e-commerce to your site. Some of the measurable results you'll see from there is you actually could be increasing the income stream of your CRC through having products available online. And there may be some processes that you've been doing manually through the office that you can actually do via the website through what's called the back end of it, doing all the administrative things for you. And it could be having people sign up to a newsletter online where you don't have to do it in the office manually.
And getting people to sign up for events and book in for events through the site as well.
Yep.
It just takes all that work away, and it makes it so easy for people to buy and use your services.
And this is not about cutting out jobs, it's about making jobs more efficient, so you can actually focus on what John and I call the high impact activities of your CRC, the things that really count in those big kick-butt projects.
Yep.
And in turn, it gives you measurables, so you can use those as outcomes. Just the system will automatically keep that.
Yeah, totally. The other thing there we had about the other benefit being minimal technical skills needed. The measurable results are there in things like number of site updates they're doing. So a regularly updated website means something that's more appealing to people, to users, and it's also going to give you better search engine rankings. One thing that search engines hate is a website that's just put there and sits there and no content's ever changed. You may as well not bother.
Yeah, but if you can engage people in your website by getting them to make comments and even contribute to blog posts and things like that, then again you're getting community engagement, and it's going to help with your SEO rankings.
Yep. That's a TLA.
Yeah, and
it is a TLA, yes.
SEO rankings.
Search engine rankings.
Search engine optimization is SEO. And what's a TLA?
A 3-letter acronym.
Thank you. Just wanted to clarify that for all the CRCs out there. So that's, again, I'm getting down off my soapbox, but I think it's just so important for us to all be really clear on what is the benefit of this project, what are the measurable results. Ros, do you have a last word on that for CRCs?
Yeah, just to ensure that what they do is meaningful. It's not just imagined or believed benefits, but can be quantified and substantiate further funding and their reasons for their existence and providing their service to their community.
That's it. At the end of the day, it's all about showing a return on investment to the funder.
Yep, for sure. Fantastic. Well, I reckon it's been another great episode, if I do say so myself. And in summary, what we've covered today is we've been able to clarify the project prioritisation process to make sure we're really focusing on that high level of looking at projects rather than activities. And we've gone through quite a bit of work in linking your projects to DRD outcomes. And of course, here on the soapbox, we just talk about making sure that your project benefits and measures are clearly identified. So it's been an exciting episode, as always. Next week, we're coming up with action planning. We're getting to the really detailed end of things that really need to happen. And I think it's going to provide a lot of value for the CRCs that are watching.
Absolutely, we're going to be talking about money.
Yeah, and we're going to be joined by a CRC staff member,
We
Ross.
are,
So
Lee Steele, from the coordinator of Pingelly CRC and chairperson of the association.
So there's lots of things to be worth tuning in for next week, and then we'll follow into the next couple of episodes where we're going to risk management and other stuff. But the action planning is what the fun end's going to be. It's going to be a hoot. So looking forward to joining you again there. John, thanks for a wonderful episode. It's always good to have you by my side.
Thank you, Andrew. Pleasure to be here.
And Roz, wonderful work as always.
Likewise.
Cool.
Thank you very much.
Marvellous. And we'll see you all next week. Thanks.